This is the picture. So at the bottom is Thomas Ronhaar.
Okay, wow.
Thomas Ronhaar's lower half of the face.
That's Thomas on the bottom.
It's definitely Ronhaar on the bottom.
Thomas
Ronhaar.
Thomas Ronhaar, definitely.
Oh, that is definitely Thomas's beard that I noticed.
It's Thomas Ronhaar because of his little beard he has going on.
The eyes.
Tom Malley? No?
Okay, now this is a problem.
Barry Bowerman.
Is that Ulas? The eyes. Okay, so that is Ulas.
Oh, it's Ulas.
The middle, I think, is Ulash Yildirim.
I think that's Ulas's eyes.
Ulas Yildirim? Yeah. Okay, and the top, it's a McLaren style of hair for me. Is it though? Or Brandon Lee.
But the hair, it gives me Spanish vibes. I'm not sure which one though. Could it be Alvaro? Ruben?
Alvaro? Is that Alvaro's hair?
That gives me Brendan Lee vibes on the hair.
Brendan's hair?
Maybe Alvaro then? Pedrenia's hair.
The hair is actually difficult because it could be me last year or even Isma.
Ah, close enough.
Isma. Yeah.
I really don't know who the... Ismail Fassi.
Isma? Ah, there you go. So that's Isma. Okay.
Ismail? Yeah, the other Spanish guy.
What a day we have had of racing and action, thrills and spills in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship 2025. Your winner around Spa was Alfie Butcher, his first win of the 2025 season. We've had 6 different winners. Will our race around Zandvoort provide a 7th different winner? It is time to find out. We're going to kickstart the show with having another get to know the drivers a bit more with a Would You Like To with Williams.
Who's more likely to set the fastest lap in a race?
What? Like this. His pace is amazing, so I don't think there is a lot more to say.
I mean, you will get the fastest lap whoever pits later, and he likes to always do the reverse strategy, so yeah, it's easy for him.
Got nothing to say.
To try an impossible overtake.
If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
You've seen many things in test races, you know, you got experience.
Neglect to practice before a big race.
Well, forget in general.
Yeah, Isma.
This guy.
It is what it is, man.
Celebrate a win the loudest.
Him again.
I think Ruben.
Me?
I don't know, I think you are a passionate guy.
Maybe, yeah.
Blame lag for a mistake.
I think all of three, to be honest.
All of us.
To drive with a damaged front wing and still finish strong.
That's a tough question.
To be honest, last year I actually finished P6 in Mexico with a damaged wing. And I even double overtake in the main straight, so you know. Race like crazy, obviously, but you still need to try to finish in the points. So.
Give helpful advice to teammates.
I guess I'm the grandpa of the team, so...
It's because of the experience, and
He's just the most experienced one.
Sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't. They do whatever they want, but it's fine.
we are kids, you know.
Well, we've been hearing from the Williams drivers there. Let's speak to someone behind the scenes. Ben Hawkins, of course, is the team principal at Williams. And what a qualifying session we've just seen, Ben. Impressive performance from both your drivers.
Yeah, and actually interesting stat for you. This is the first time we've ever had 2 drivers in Q3. So, yeah, super happy. Ruben's also is his personal best. And to see our drivers, only 1,000th between them in both Q1 and Q2, shows the pace is definitely there. So we're really happy.
Not that, just that though, it shows the confidence is there as well. I know it's been a bit of a tricky one with Ismail Fassi coming in, leading the championship, set expectations rather high for you guys, didn't it? Whereas this is quite a nice moment to kind of lift the team back up.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I was half expected to be, you talk about the race before. It wasn't how we wanted it to go. But it's nice that we knew we were going to bounce back and we're confident and we could sit here or stand here and talk about that race. But ultimately it's racing and things happened, some in our control, some out of our control, but we just need to move past it.
It's not just Ismail of the team as well. I know we've been talking a lot about Ismail being the championship leader coming into this. You've got a really impressive setup as well, haven't you?
Yeah, and I've mentioned before, we've really worked on that. We're incredibly fortunate. Every single member of the team knows their role within the team, and it's just about keeping everybody happy. And yeah, it's fun to be with them. I mean, we had a room before this and we were having a party. I mentioned before we didn't party after the wins, but we just try and get the vibes before we get into the race. And yeah, it's a pleasure to work with these guys.
Coming away from this weekend, if a win's not on the cards, what's the optimum thing that you want to take away? Do you want to try and get that championship lead back? Is it possible at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I or anyone in the team has ever mentioned the championship and the championship.
I've mentioned it a lot of times.
I was just about to say, I think it's yourself and maybe others not too far behind me that keep mentioning it. We're not talking about it until we're in the fight. We're not in the fight. And for us, it's just about keeping the points ticking over. You'd have seen our strategy with Alvaro was bold. That's because we're not here to fight moving P13 to P11. P11, P20 are exactly the same for us. We're here to get both drivers, all 3 drivers, in the points consistently.
There was absolute outrage from Mr. Alex Strakes behind you there. We've all been talking about it because it's exciting. This is why we're talking about it, because it's a new championship leader in terms of something a bit different for us all to talk about. And I think that's the point in F1 sim racing. What I would say at this point is the championship is so incredibly close. It's anyone's at this point, and we're only halfway through event 2.
Yeah, 100%. And you guys can keep talking about it. We'll stay in our bubble and we'll keep our feet grounded. It's been amazing to see. Is it 6 different winners, which is fantastic. Hopefully you'll see repeat winners and they'll be wearing blue just like yourself, which we do appreciate. And yeah, we'll just keep going one step at a time.
Look, there's no bias here. Sometimes I wear red, sometimes I wear blue. And today I'm either for you or Red Bull. Who knows? Anyway, thank you so much. Good luck for the race. I'm sure we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Pleasure as always.
Great to hear from Ben Hawkins. Sorry about that. Ben Hawkins there. There is no bias in this studio. Alex Shakes, F1 commentator, Matt Gallagher. The CV on Matt Gallagher in his work in F1. I couldn't pick just one aspect.
Okay.
But
if you were going top bloke before, wasn't
top
it?
bloke,
anything better than that
P1 podcast.
Okay, thanks.
There we go. And going for the sort of Navy-esque.
Yeah, not red. So
no,
different.
Different this time. Listen, gentlemen, I'm excited about this one. We've had a race earlier on in Spa in Belgium. Now we go racing at the Dutch Grand Prix. And you heard from there Ben Hawkins. Very excited about that. And the facts there, this is a personal best for Pedreno, where he starts on the grid. And the first time both drivers in Q3 for Williams. That is incredibly exciting coming into this season where the team has improved so much. They're breaking their own history and the records that they've set before.
Yeah, great to see a team on the up, getting those milestones, getting those results. I love the way they're talking down the championship. I mean, like Ben can say anything else. I love that.
They can keep talking.
We're going to keep talking it up because they've had a great start to the year. And that session was crucial, Tom, because they needed to bounce back after the first 2 races of this event. And they did just that, as you say, with both cars.
Yeah, and finally, I think I can say Q3 now. Matt Gallagher, what were your highlights from quali earlier on for Zandvoort?
The resurgence of Ferrari. I think that was brilliant to see, not just from the fact that they have had the struggles and they've come back with a brilliant performance in qualifying for both cars, but the emotion that we saw in qualifying as well is what we live for as fans of the sport and spectators at home as well. You want to see those storylines, and Barry saying, we're coming back, this is our time. Yeah, it's awesome to see, but they now have to translate that. He can't just say, we're going to come back now, this is our time, and not deliver tonight. So let's see.
Yeah, pure elation. That's what we would call calling it. And obviously, Thomas Ronhaar starting in P5. Fascinating for his form so far into Event 2. He said to us yesterday night, he said, I qualified in the middle of nowhere, finished in the middle of nowhere. He was on pole position earlier on today in Spa. Couldn't put that into a victory, but did get a podium. They're all so incredibly talented. Nothing really separates them. What can they do? If they haven't had a result that they wanted so far, Alex, what can they do coming into tonight?
You've just got to carry on with the processes. I think for Ronhaar especially, I don't think he'll be too disappointed with a podium finish and a P5. I think normally in championship contention, you'd be like, I need better than that. This year, when the point swings are so great, when there's so many drivers in the mix, getting on the podium, putting it P5 in qualifying, that's crucial. So he doesn't need to change much about his approach at all right now.
Okay, solid start for him in his home race. Let's have a recap of quali earlier on.
Jarno Opmeer, championship leader, out in Q1. Williams are back and both Mercedes are out.
We are in Q3, that's all that matters, okay? And the pace is
finally. Half the season, Baba in alt, I don't know what is it, alt delete. Alt F4. Now we are back. The season is starting for now.
Feels very good to have finished this qualifying session in P1 for Barry and P3 for myself. We haven't been in the top 5 together since the start of the season. Very good feeling to be back where we belong. Just like last year, we were very competitive and we proved to have kept this advantage this year again. Hopefully the race this year will go more as planned, but we're in a very good position. The Williams are right next to us in P2 and P4, so it's going to be a fight between us two. Let's see who's going to come out on top.
Barry Barrowman over the line. We saw him cut the beam and he's been joined by his teammate. Are we going to see a response from the Williams pair? Fassi gets to the front row.
What's Thomas doing?
Thomas,
P4?
I think he was
Thomas.
Oh, let's go. Come on, man. Come on.
Let's go. Bravo.
Come on.
Good job.
Let's go P1, P3. This is the race we're coming back from it. Come on.
This is the race they're coming back. Great to see those team comms from the two Ferrari drivers. It's going to be exciting around Zandvoort to close out the day. Thanks for joining us. If you want to get involved in the conversation, hashtag F1 Esports. Get across all of the socials. All of the teams have been posting, getting ready. I reckon they've already got the assets set up, ready for that race win.
Yep.
Could it be a 7th different winner? Looking at the previous winners around Zandvoort, gentlemen, just to pick out some of the details. Freddie Rasmussen, your winner last time out. He's already picked up a win in Event 2. So, again, the man in form, he scored more points than any other sim racing driver. So, you wouldn't bet against him today.
You certainly wouldn't, and I think that applies almost everywhere that we go. Barry Barrowman in 2nd place last year, Freddie Rasmussen in 1st. Some great names all the way through there, but yeah, Barry Barrowman's got the knack of this circuit, hasn't he?
He does. Look, he finished 2nd last year, and he's starting on pole here today. So I would say Barry's looking like the favourite, and if they can get into that 1-2 position with both of the Ferraris, then they're going to be very difficult to beat. But they do have two Williams to cope with as well. Will there be aggressive strategies? Lots of questions coming into this one, but strategy is going to be the key around here with how difficult it is to overtake.
And no pole driver has gone on to win the race. I just noticed that stat there. That's going to be the talk of sim racing in the World Championship 2025. It hasn't happened other than Ismail Fassi, who starts in P2. And that was back in the Australia race. But it seems to be on pole is fantastic. You get that extra point in the championship, but just concluding the deal. We're both watching. Barry Brumman has left the studio for the moment.
Yeah, he's sprinted.
I think it's a quick pit stop, for a body pit stop there.
Yes.
Before, because the amount of drivers...
That's a normal sentence, Thomas, wasn't it?
That's new.
Yeah, I like it. It's only 2 minutes and 24 seconds to go.
And then I leave, and then it becomes sane again. But it's interesting enough, actually, to mention that a couple of warnings have been given to drivers for mid-quali session if they're out in Q1 or Q2. They've left the rig to go to the toilet. They have been given a warning.
You got to go. You got to go.
Well, you've got to have that body pit stop.
Yeah, 2 minutes to go.
Body pit stop. Man,
Let's leave that in the past.
Yeah, we'll edit that out later, right? We're not live, are we?
Let's look at the tyres. I wouldn't put you on the spot, Matt, but let's throw Marcel Kiefer under here.
Marcel Kiefer's strategy corner.
So they will start on the hards then.
Yeah, hards,
if we're
probably inters. How accurate we were for Spa.
Yes. So interesting, there's 3 strategies there that Marcel has offered up as Barry
There's our
Burman
pole sitter.
comes back to the rig with 1 minute 33 to go before we get underway. But yeah, interesting. It's going to be fascinating because not only do we, like we saw in Spa, right? There was 19 drivers on hard tyres. We thought, the strategy is not going to be maybe as interesting as other races. But there was a window of opportunity for the drivers to go long, to undercut. So we still have that strategy there, even if perhaps when we look at it on the face of it, there's not much to look at in the sense of they're all on the same tyre.
I wonder if they'll put Longuet on the soft tyre, get that launch off the line, get the 1-2, manage the race. That would be very, very tempting.
Say it louder, they might hear you.
Very tempting, I think, for the man in P3.
All right, gentlemen, this is Zandvoort. I'm really looking forward to this race. I'm going to leave the desk so it gets a bit sane, or to be honest with you, after all of the races we have, there's not been a sane moment, to be honest with you. Enjoy this one. Matt Gallagher, Alex Jakes. See you in a bit.
Thank you very much, Tom Deacon. Let's take you to trackside pictures then as we see the final race of the day. And it is a really intriguing track, this one, because it's one used a long time ago for Formula One. It's very tight, it's claustrophobic. There's one clear-cut overtaking opportunity. There's a banked final turn, and the first lap, Matt Gallagher, is going to be very, very important. So let's look at the back row of the grid. I'd thrown to you, not expecting that to turn up as quickly. But
I left you some air there.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you, sir. Declan Barrett, Fab Donoso, back row of the grid. Then it's a champions row, but towards the back of the field with Brendan Lee and Jarno Opmeer. Next up, Shanaka Clay. And a shock, given his form so far, with Pookie in 15th. Next up, Lucas Blakely is next to Joni Tormela. Alpine driver finds himself behind Tom Manley and Jake Benham. Both Mercedes were out, Constructor Championship leaders in Q2. Thomas Gao in 10th, and then Josh Idu in 9th. Freddie Rasmussen finds himself in 8th position. Otis Lawrence in 7th. We move forward and find Alfie Butcher, our most recent race winner. He's next to Thomas Ronhaar, who was on the podium back in Spa. He's P5 for this one. And then it's Ruben Pedreno back in the field and P4. He is next to Nicolas Longuet. Next up, Ismail Fassi in 2nd place, missed out by thousandths of a second to Barry Boromund, who was elated to find his way to the very front of the field. The Zandvoort circuit, Matt Gallagher, 1 grid ago, I was talking to you about the first lap, and it's going to be intense.
It is going to be intense. Very important, I think, for Ferrari to maintain that advantage into lap 1. Of course, with Barry Burmand on pole position, Ismail Fassi alongside him. Fassi straight back to contention after having a difficult couple of races, difficult couple of qualifying sessions as well, with the dynamic, changeable weather that we had. From what I can see, we're not getting any rain just yet from the angles that I'm looking at.
No, it looks overcast, but it doesn't look any more than that. Drivers right now selecting their strategies that they will have agreed with their team. That's what you can see them doing on the steering wheel, toggling for what they're going to go. Are you going to start on the medium? Are you going to start on the soft? Either way, not long to find out now. It is time to go racing to turn number 1 in Zandvoort. Perfect launch off the line for Barry Boromund, who hangs on to it and trying to make it a Ferrari 1-2. This is so important for the race. Can he get there? He's going to have an opportunity if he's feeling brave. He's going to go around the outside, which becomes the inside line. Ferrari 1-2 with Barry Boromund leading. Exactly the getaway the Scuderia wanted.
Barry Burman did the exact right thing there. Did you see how he just slowed up a little bit, knowing that Fassi was directly behind him, which allowed Longuet to go round the outside. Opmeer's got a penalty already for gaining a position. I wonder if there's going to be some arguments with the stewards there. But what a move from Ferrari, from Burman in the lead to just put Fassi on the back foot ever so slightly. It's the Ferrari 1-2.
Great tactics, well executed, crucial move for Ferrari. They are 1 and 2. Barry Burrament trying to become our first repeat winner of the year. And then it's Longuet. Ismail Fassi is in 3rd position, dropping that place. He's got his teammate directly behind him. So Williams still have strategic options, but this is a different type of race to anyone that we've seen so far this year. Out of the bank, turn 14 corner. Ronhaar maintained 5th. Butcher maintained 6th. Fassi's trying to come back. It was close as they go over the line. It's really close as they go over the line. Can he get the place back? Big effort now to get to the inside. Elbows out. He does not want to give the place up. There's no opportunity, though, into Hugenholz. Tries the up and under. And are we going to see them go side by side at huge speed? It's not just 2nd place on the line. This could be for the win later on. Does he take the tactics away? By the time we get to turn 7, Longuet holds on.
Fassi looking massively racy at the moment. He knows that 3rd position is not good enough at this stage of the race. He wants to be in between the Ferraris, unsettle them, don't let them get into their rhythm. So Fassi looking very quick indeed. We can see the position indicators. You've said rain. I'm going to go and have a look. Oh my goodness me. I've seen that there is some rain forecast. Light rain into storm later on in this race. We're not going to see the dry tyres for long.
My word, well that changes things completely. These two teams that were desperate for dry qualifying because they both felt that they'd made a step forward from event 1 to event 2. It was wet for Silverstone qualifying, it was wet for Spa qualifying, bone dry for quali, and now here comes the rain again to completely change the complexion of this race. Light rain falls around the circuit. It's going to get heavier. It is Nicolas Longuet in 2nd place. He got ahead of Ismail Fassi. That's the story of the first 3 laps. But this could be chaos. Do you go early to the tyres? Alfie Butcher's gone to the tyres. Ronhaar's gone for the tyres. If they've called it right, it could give them the race lead.
Yeah, look at the amount of drivers that have come into the pits from Ronhaar down. So 12th position down. They've all blinked already to go into the pits. We've seen some speeding in the pit lane penalties coming up for the likes of Shanaka Clay and Istvan Pukki. Whether that will stay, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, a lot of drivers have picked up penalties, perhaps quite chaotic coming into the pits at the start of this race. I'm hearing some drivers not particularly happy behind me.
There's some exclamation going on right now in the studio because we've got plenty of drivers trying to fight in these wet, dry, mixed conditions. But it's intermediate tyres on the drivers. You can see that's why Declan Barrett has climbed up. Here's a replay of the start, but there's plenty coming into the pit lane right now with conditions worsening is the sentence I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, I was pointing at you, Alex, so I'm sorry for that. But it's only because I think the reason we're hearing exclaiming behind, I think, with the Ferraris is look at the race restart, is that, yes, they've qualified so well, both Williams and Ferrari, but they can't pit on the same lap.
Yep.
So one of them from both teams are going to have to carry on. Longuet, remember last year in this position, had heartbreak with the intermediate tyres. Again, has to stay out for another lap. So I think it was actually him that we heard in our ears. Look, he's sliding around on the soft tyres.
This is so tough. Further back, only 2 have soft tyres left on the car. The rest are on intermediates. Thomas Ronhaar is all over the back of Barry Burrament. And that synchronized swimming at the start, 2 Ferraris and 2 Williams, it's expired right now. Pedreno had to be sent round again. Longuet had to be sent round again. And it's going to cost them massively. Let's give you the order. You can see that Ronhaar's got the experience on the tyres. He went there 1 lap early. You've got Fassi directly behind him. He's come out of the pits between Ronhaar and Butcher. Manley is next, and then it is Pukki. Penalty next to his name at the moment. They'll argue it afterwards. Heading down to the turn 11-12 chicane. No way through at the moment, but Barry Burrament is driving on his mirrors. The top 2 will be the last 2 cars to change from soft to inter.
So there you go, Longuet into the pits now. Ruben Pedreno will come in for Williams, and I would be very, very surprised if they're anywhere near the front. I mean, you can see they're already filtering through. They could be right at the back of this pack. It is heartbreak for Longuet again. Let's see where he filters out. But yeah, Longuet, you can see tumbling down the order. That is absolutely devastating for Ferrari and for Nicolas Longuet.
So Brendan Lee's had a moment. I think Brendan Lee's made a mistake out there, but that is a really tough moment for Nicolas Longuet, and he finds himself in 16th, hitting the steering wheel with frustration. We could hear in the background. Barry Burman had the race lead, took pole position, was given priority by Ferrari. The big winner of that sequence, Thomas Ronhaar, boldly went early for the intermediate tyres, fired them up, made it work, and he's got the jump from 5th off the line to 2nd in this race.
So we're looking at Nicolas Longuet there. Let's take a look at a replay.
Oh my god, it's undrivable. Yeah, GG, I'm done.
GG, I'm done, says Nicolas Longuet there. So he knew the minute that he couldn't come into the pits the same time as Barry that it was going to screw over his race. So we were celebrating Ferrari and Williams' performances in qualifying, but it's hit them both so hard. They're 16th and 17th, Longuet and Pedreno. It is devastating for them because that is just a terrible stroke of luck.
Yeah, it really is. The timing and how you react to the conditions, the story of qualifying. Who's going to the inside there? That looks like Tom Manley making a move. And the Racing Bulls driver has been on the front foot all the way through. That's him making a place on Jake Benham as the drivers have to adapt again to wet conditions, this time in the race.
You can see some drivers have gained massively in this part of the race. Lap 6 of 36, we're riding on board with Tom Manley. But you look at Shanaka Clay currently running with a 5-second penalty. He's up 8. Pookie's up 6. Otmeer's up 7. Manley's up 6 as well. 4 for Benham. So there's been some huge gains out there as we see side-by-side action. Lucas Blakely going wheel to wheel with Joni Tormela there struggling for traction.
He's been side-by-side with Joni Tormela, corner after corner, rubbing the logo off his tyre right now. Tries to get the traction under braking. He's going to try and be last of the late breakers, risking it, risking his front wing right now. They say rubbing is racing, but they're taking that really literally for a very long time. He's unable to get the traction at the moment. Both of them are operating ahead of Otis Lawrence, who's P12 right now. Half the field came in very, very early on for the intermediate tyre. And a good run off the corner for Otis Lawrence, who's going to try and out-drag the McLaren to turn number 1 and does so to take the place.
We'll talk about Barry Burman. He is absolutely flying out there. 1.3 seconds clear of Thomas Ronhaar in 2nd place. Fassi following close behind, 4/10 further back. But Barry Burman in these conditions is excelling out there.
Yeah, he really is back at the front and very comfortable with that position at the moment. It's worth saying, these storm conditions means the rain intensity is going to increase as we go. That's our information, isn't it?
Yep, it is.
So, as a result, you're going to have to try and judge it. There's no need to be a hero at the moment with the track position as it is for Barry Burman. So motivated to turn things round after Spa. And Thomas Ronhaar knows he's collecting good points for the championship as well. So I wouldn't expect Ronhaar to be gung-ho trying to take the lead there. Shmuel Fassi knows that Ronhaar is a championship contender. And the championship leader coming into this race was Jarno Opmeer. Jarno Opmeer, who started this one in 17th, finds himself up to P9. Got a 5-second penalty next to his name. It is worth saying the teams do have the right of appeal afterwards, so those penalties are always provisional, and then sometimes after the race we can get penalties removed, or of course penalties applied. On board with Jake Benham in the Mercedes, trying to keep this run going, finishing on the podium when he's entered the championship. It's not entirely gone to plan for him with this sequence of intermediate tyres, but the driver's going to have to make a difference now, because unless it gets so wet out there that we have to go to the full wet tyre, we are done with the stops and the pit stop sequence happening far earlier than expected.
Yeah, so Benham behind Manley and Butcher at the moment. Butcher has no answer for the top 3. He's 2.6 seconds behind Fassi. These are massive gaps in F1 sim racing standards. And it is very much an Alfie Butcher train at the moment. You can see all the cars behind. There's a lunge further back there. That is Nicolas Longuet and Tamas Gao. Longuet incredibly frustrated with how this race has unfolded for him. He currently has the fastest lap of the race, but will not get a point if he finishes 14th, he's just behind Freddie Rasmussen, who's having quite a quiet race as well. This is not the battle for the lead, despite the massive train of cars. This is, in fact, for 4th place.
Yeah, just watching Alfie Butcher, who's checking his rear view on the game at the moment, heading down to turn number 1, knowing that he's not getting the purchase that he wants at this stage. Butcher, not with the confidence of others around him at the moment, but it is a difficult track to overtake on. It becomes easier in the wet. Corners that normally you wouldn't be able to shape for a move become very interesting indeed. Again, you see a wiggle when applying the power for Alfie Butcher. With different setups, gambling, grip levels can have a massive effect in these conditions, and they're unaware of the conditions that they're going to get coming into the race. Barry Burman leads by 1.4 seconds. Still very tight between Ronha and Fassi in the battle for 2nd place. This incredibly tight championship battle that we have this year. And Alfie Butcher is part of that championship picture after winning in Belgium. And he will be trying to cling on to that 4th place, but he's checking the mirrors rather than trying to catch the drivers in front.
So I am pretty convinced Alfie Butcher is missing a front left end plate, and this is the reason why he is lapping almost a second a lap slower than the drivers ahead. But with these conditions, they're finding it hard to actually get past him. 4.1 seconds behind Fassi is Butcher now. And
dive bomb move from the man you mentioned. Fassi gets past Ronha. And our former championship leader tries to take the place away. That will become the inside line. You can run it around the outside, but then you are shuffled to the curb. Fair racing from both. Racing room given by both of them there, but the move is complete, and Fassi's up to P2.
Great move from Fassi as we have more action further back. That's Pookie and Otmir, in fact, going very, very close indeed. That is going to get very tight.
Way has he got by at turn number 7. Superb from Pookie, and it might get worse for Jarno Otmir, who's being elbowed out of the way right now. That will be true frustration. Joni Tormala getting himself up to 9th position. And Jarno Otmir, who he undid the damage of qualifying earlier on, losing a couple of places.
So Otmir, of course, running that penalty. I think it's worth sort of almost pretending that doesn't exist for now, because we've had many penalties in the past be taken away after the race. Pookie being one of them in Bahrain, for example, when he was fighting for the win. So yeah, Otmir down to 10th, and it's really not going all too well for him at the moment. But yeah, further forward, Alfie Butcher still leading this train, and as these conditions will continue throughout the race and will get worse, the question is, can Butcher hold on to this 4th place? Because the top 3 are gone. There's no chance, really, for any of the drivers to catch that front 3. But Alfie Butcher has a job to do in that McLaren with the damage he's currently holding.
Let's check in with Jake Benham.
Beautiful stuff, this one. Beautiful stuff, this one.
Out there, Jake Benham in 6th position. His teammate Istvan Pookie is in 8th position. We're hearing from Claire that the damage was done for Alfie Butcher's front wing when he entered the pit lane. So that's our information for how he lost that end plate, which has essentially turned this into 2 separate trains. We've got the podium finishers. Ismail Fassi is going to try and do something about Barry Burman. He's having the strongest drive of the year that anyone's had so far. I think on reflection, it's lap 11 of 36. His win in Bahrain was categorized by great racecraft at the right moment. This is pure pace in really tricky conditions. But Alfie Butcher's damage to the front wing of the car means that we've got, for the first time all season long, 2 races happening out there.
Certainly do. Fassi, very important to be in that front 3, and looking very quick out there as well, is Ismail Fassi. He went 3.5 tenths quicker than Barry Burman on that last lap. And he's trying to make it a fight for the win for all of us watching. You can see the rain coming down. It's getting heavier and heavier. As we said with the weather forecast, a storm is very much on its way. So the wet tyres will be a question mark as well as we get later on into this race. And Alfie Butcher, he kind of doesn't want that. He wants to stay on these tyres forever so that he can just not be undercut, because right now he cannot really be overtaken. They're really struggling. Manley can't get an opportunity despite the front left damage to his front wing, but the race is going to take another turn.
We're expecting that to be the case on lap 12 of 36. A high lap count around here due to the short nature of the circuit. That gap is static. Great driving from Barry Burman and Fassi, pushing each other all the way. That gap is static at 1.3, 1.4. What are you thinking of your Tom Manley right now, Matt? You've been studying the back of that McLaren time and time again. You know you've got way more pace than the car in front. You're trying to get by, mainly so that you can protect yourself. If you get through, it's another P4 and good points for the championship.
Exactly. What Tom Manley's thinking now is podium's out of the question. This is essentially for him the best position he can get is the car ahead of him. So he now just needs to treat that as if he's second place in the race. So he has to be very calm. We've seen on a few occasions this season Manley be quite negative about how his race is unfolding, but he's in a good position to potentially score 12 points if he finishes ahead of Alfie Butcher in fourth. He just needs to pick his move wisely. Because right now he is safe in P5. Overtakes are difficult in these conditions, and just wait for that right moment, because in the pit stops he is going to jump Alfie Butcher most likely. Just needs to go one lap earlier. Does Alfie Butcher take front wing change? Probably not as well, just purely because he will then go to the back of the pack anyway. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Manley does this, but still running in a strong fifth.
Let's hear from one of the carriages of the Alfie Butcher train. This is Jake Benham.
So you're telling me it doesn't get drier at the end?
No, it won't, Jake. That cloud is after the race end.
Okay, got it.
So he's looking at that weather forecast, hoping for a variation in the strategy. And not having it out front. The top three having their own private race, enjoying themselves. Now 7 seconds gap. As Jake Benham has a chance. What's going on with our timing tower?
That's Pookie's coming to the pits, I believe.
It's a very interesting decision, not the only one. So Pookie's come in.
Blakely as well. Yeah, quite a few drivers have decided, look, everyone's going really slowly in this train. I'm going to go onto some fresh intermediates, set some blistering times and jump the lot of them.
Lovely.
Easy.
Simple. Let's find out whether they can fire it up and whether the Butcher blockade, if you like, is going to be able to continue, because he's keeping them all at bay at the moment. He's inch perfect at the moment. Just going to look over my shoulder. No, he's picking his lines beautifully. Doesn't seem overly concerned. Applying the power really nicely. It's working brilliantly for Butcher. Strategic curveballs in there, though. Teams are trying to think their way past the McLaren.
I tell you who also will be looking over their shoulder, Alex. Barry Burman, 1.1. Now 1 second, the gap for the lead. He's actually got it under a second, has Ismail Fassi. And Fassi, he's had such a difficult last couple of races because of the rain. We started to question, is it the wet conditions that perhaps he struggles with just that slight bit more? Well, forget that. He is rapid.
He is absolutely rapid, down to 0.8 of a second. Yeah, we knew in the dry he'd be quick, but he's having a great drive in the rain here. Shanaka Clay came in as well to get new tyres. He does have the penalties next to his name, but it was very, very intense on the opening lap. There's a lot of contact going on there. Fortunately, that happened at the exact same time that drivers were coming into the pits. So we had a lot to tell you about. Oh, nearly being nudged through the corner there. Cheeky stuff from Jake Benham, trying to get Butcher out of the way.
Benham recognises that everybody's pitting behind him, so this is going to cost him a few track positions, and he is trying to find that opportunity to get through on Butcher. He puts a nose to the inside.
That is risky stuff for his front wing and his race. Not able to get by, but he's giving it everything, trying to change that. Love this angle of the car swooping around the gravel trap. 1 corner to go when you make your way through turn 12. And it's lap 15 of 36. Plenty gave up track position there for fresh intermediate tyres. Tom Manley, who had been studying the back of the McLaren for such a long time, decided to do that. Got a bit of a gap there. Manley came in, Pookie came in, but plenty are pitting for new intermediate rubber, including Otis Lawrence.
Yes, you have to wonder now, what is the strategy for Benham, Tourmaler, Otmir, who are stuck in this train? Longuet there as well, of course. Are they going longer, hoping for the conditions to change? They basically reduce the pit stop? I'm kind of wondering at this point, because track position is key. Alfie Butcher has displayed that with the sense that he can't get overtaken and he's got a damaged front wing. So different strategies at play here, and the Alfie Butcher train in some ways is helping his teammate Lucas Blakely come back into this, because Blakely was one of the first ones to blink onto another fresh set of intermediates, and he'll be going a lot quicker than his teammate still running in fourth. So yeah, this is going to be a really interesting one with 20 laps to go.
Tom Manley has done a 1:18.3. Our race leader last time out did a 1:19.6. So degradation and tyre performance is a thing on the Inters as well. They are wearing down, and a second faster at the moment. The driver in 14th pulled the trigger on swapping to a different set of tyres, and he is lapping much faster than the leaders at the moment. Obviously way off the pace, but 26 seconds he's lapping off the leaders at the moment. Very narrow pit lane for the drivers to negotiate. Fassi has got the gap down to half a second.
Okay, so we've got one of the drivers shouting, "What are you doing?" So there's some action going on out there once again. Some of the drivers feeling quite tense in these difficult conditions.
Feels tense in here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a different atmosphere to what we've experienced before. Drivers getting frustrated with each other out there. And yeah, we haven't seen it on screen, but hopefully we get some clarification of what's going on out there.
They're going to have to respond eventually to the pace that Tom Manley is showing. He's on an 18.1. Good lap last time around from Barry Burman. They've basically got the hurry up at the front of the field because of Manley's pace. The gap between Tom Manley and Barry Burman in the lead is 26 seconds. And you're looking at our race leader. Let's check in with Barry Burman once again. Formerly of McLaren, now of Ferrari. He's got a Williams directly behind him. Ferrari versus Williams, recalling great battles of the 90s in Formula One. And in 2025, the Sim Racing World Championship, we've got Burman with track position absolutely key when it comes to Zandvoort circuit, in the wet, in the dry. And the drivers who are now continuing to push into that gap. Manley's got 8 seconds to the next car here in clear air to put together his best performance. He's now into the 1:17s, but last time around, Barry Burman only 0.3 of a second slower. But this is the man that they'll all be watching and what he can do. Certainly out of the pits, you're still getting that benefit of fresher rubber.
Yeah, but you can see at the onboard, the rain is coming down more and more. So let's keep an eye on the lap times and whether they start to slow down once again. But Manley's on a charge, doing something different to try and jump the Alfie Butcher damaged train that we've currently got out there, as Benham, I believe, has got through.
Yes.
And so has Tourmaler as well.
Alfie Butcher shuffled back. We're going to go to turn 11. Benham, then Tourmaler, then Alfie Butcher's superb defence comes to an end. And he did so well for so long, but there's an inevitability when you damage your front wing in a field that is so close that you're just not going to be able to hang on, and his chances of points are going to evaporate now.
Crucial for the likes of Benham and Tourmaler for their race. They can now put down the pace that they know they can do. Longuet is through on Butcher as well, so is Otmir. I wonder if Butcher's actually come into the pits here with how much he's falling down. You would imagine so.
Let's hear from the fourth place man, Jake Benham. He didn't say very much, but that's how close you get to ripping off the front wing and ruining your race.
Speaking of front wings, he has indeed changed his front wing, as Alfie Butcher. He, of course, had a long pit stop there. He's down in 20th now after that stop, and that will most likely be curtains for his chances of points in this one. But Butcher did a pretty good job, I suppose, to bring Lucas Blakely in play for later on, because he has much fresher intermediates. He's in that Tom Manley charge, 6.2 now off the back of Edu. But 17 laps to go, not a long way to go in this one.
No, it's continues to be very wet out there. Ismail Fassi won the opening race of the year. Barry Burman got up and running in Bahrain. 0.3 of a second between the two of them. This is as close as Fassi's been since they left the grid earlier on. He was jumped by one Ferrari, 0.2 of a second, no way by at this stage. As they make their way through the banking, onto the main straight further back. Benham, then Tourmalet, then Longuet, who has responded really well. By the way, if you're thinking why didn't Longuet just back off, it would have been as broad as it's long. He would have lost around the same amount of time if he backed off and left a gap to then come into the pits. So they kept him out in the hope that the rain wouldn't deteriorate. Either way, they were going to lose about 7 seconds that way, and that's exactly what happened. You're on board with Jake Benham.
Jake Benham pushing on. You can see the gap between Barry Burmand and Jake, 13.3 seconds, and they are on the same strategy. They have not pitted, so that's a insurmountable gap for Jake Benham, but he'll be happy with 4th place for now. His streak of podiums is likely to end in this race. But it has to be said, Barry and Ishmael out front, they are in a class of their own. Ron Haar cannot hold on, and that's not something we say all that often. He's 3.4 seconds off Fassi, is Thomas Ron Haar, and it is very much a 2-horse battle.
It is indeed. Currently separated by 0.7 of a second. There you see the battle for the lead. The gap is not big enough for Ron Haar to come in, take fresh tyres and really heat the pressure on. It might have been if Butcher had been able to hang on for much longer. And they're heading down the main straight. The Scarlet Ferrari and Nicolas Longuet in 6th place. Have been dreaming of a Ferrari 1-2 and a return to the podium. But the timing of the rain and the decision they were forced to take meant that he dropped down. He is trying to make his way past Tourmalet and Benham. And we're getting more stops. See the Haas in the pit lane. And Thomas Gau getting his stop there, returning to the racetrack now, the 20th runner in the field. Schnacker Clay, he has those 10-second time penalties, but these are all provisional. They'll be argued afterwards. He did make a stop from the points-paying positions, so Haas trying to chase more to their total, but they decided to take new rubber. At the moment, our race leader is doing a 1:19.3. Tom Manley is doing a 1:18.0. The gap is not coming down fast enough to pressurize the drivers into a stop, and now Manley's already in that pit stop window, so they've elected to just take it further and further and hope they've got some rubber by the end of the race.
Yeah, Manley flying out there, 1.8 seconds behind Edu now, and you have to say he's going to make light work of the drivers that have not stopped, that he's in close proximity with, as we see a change there as Benham, I believe, has come into the pits. You can see his name tumbling down the order. So Benham decides to pit now, and we will find out just how much time he's lost after being in the Alfie Butcher train. I've heard a no to my right. All the drivers are exclaiming in this one.
A very noisy bunch this evening compared to what we've been used to. With plenty of emotions. Barry Burman leads, Ishmael Fassi, then it's Thomas Ron Haar in 3rd place, Yoni Tourmalet's in 4th, Nicolas Longuet in 5th, and Benham was the driver who came in to take his stop. Looking further through the field, Manley is now up to 9th position.
So I believe we might have heard Brendan Lee exclaiming, as he's now down in 20th position and off the back by 3.6 seconds. Claire Cottingham reliably informing us of the exclamations that are going on around the room, because there's a lot going on at the moment. But back towards the front.
Who was peeling into the pits there?
I believe that was the front 2.
If it's the front 2, this is going to be massive. This is going to be really big. In comes Barry Burman. And Ishmael Fassi comes in as well. Nicolas Longuet stays out there, and they're having to respond out there. They will have fresher rubber, but Tom Manley was right on the cusp of the pit window here, and my word, they've timed it to perfection. They had to respond to Manley's pace that we've been keeping you informed about. They pulled the trigger at the last possible moment, and they have just covered off Tom Manley, whose stint forced the top 2 to give up track position and pit. And Nicolas Longuet will continue out front for the time being. 1 lap fresher tyres, but crucially, both Barry Burman and Ishmael Fassi came in for their stops.
The Manley up into what may well turn out to be third place for now, but Ronhaar with 9-lap fresher intermediates, 2.2 seconds back. Blakely has got through on Shanaka Clay, and just look at the difference in tyre life up and down the field. More side-by-side action here with Lucas Blakely, Shanaka Clay, and Otis Lawrence getting involved as well. Lawrence wanting to do a bit better than 10th place. He'll have the inside line. Will he make a move down the inside? No, not this time.
So Nicholas Longuet leads. Freddie Rasmussen is in second place. Barry Burman has the fresh intermediate rubber, and he's still got Ismail Fassi right behind him. Now with the tyres rebooted, it'll be interesting to see who's got the confidence. And we can see that Freddie Rasmussen continues to race on. You're looking at the reigning champ on lap 24 of 36. Really enjoying this one. You're having to respond, they're having to improvise. This isn't just run to the run plan. You're having to think about it all the way through. And Tom Manley really putting the pedal down. Might claim his place on the podium as a result of what he's put together. There will be fresh rubber for Thomas Ronhaar as well. Barry Burman, Ismail Fassi will ease clear of Manley after he nearly closed down an entire pit stop on them.
Lawrence and Clay battling out there for P8 still, with Pedreno trying to do that comeback drive, similar to Nicholas Longate, after the early heartbreak for the pair of them with the changeable conditions. But yeah, there's battles up and down the field. There's going to be changes for sure. Freddie Rasmussen's still out there, and he's not stopped for a very long time since the conditions changed. So Barry Burman's going to easily come up to the back of that Red Bull and retake the lead. Ismail Fassi 3/10 behind. He is looking to pounce. He just needs that one opportunity in the next 12 laps.
Let's check in with the man who's just stopped for new inters, Nicholas Longate.
You can easily overtake. They're on older tires and they're not going to make it to the end anyway. You're still in a good strat here. Might still be on for like a top 6.
So just getting that encouragement that it's not done yet. He's got the fresh tyres. He will be able to attack. And that's sometimes where the team really play their part, encouraging the driver to keep their head down. And Ismail Fassi is setting Barry Burman a proper exam here, isn't he? Test lap after lap after lap. Let's see, in the wet, in mixed conditions, with old inters, with new inters, whether you can pick every single braking point. Because if you can't, I'll be by.
Exactly. Going back to Longate's team radio, he's not on the worst strategy, for sure. I don't even think that's the team trying to G him up. He's got much fresher tyres than some of the drivers ahead of him. Butcher, Otis Lawrence, Shanaka Clay, Blakely, Pookie, they've all got much older intermediate tyres ahead. So Longate could still be in for a decent points finish here, but his teammate is coming under a lot of pressure from Fassi. When will Fassi decide to unload the battery and have a move into turn 1?
I was going to ask the same question. Can he do something with the battery? Can he change it all? Ronhaar back to third. Manley's great stint means he pits again on lap 26 of 36. So he is forced to respond, having gone to those tyres earlier on, trying to get out of the train that was behind Alfie Butcher. And still, there's 0.4 of a second for the battle for the leader on board with home favourite Thomas Ronhaar, who's having a bit of a lonely race. But if it turns in to 15 points, I don't think he'll care at all.
No, he's been a lot more measured in this event. I believe he would have learned quite a bit from the Jeddah Beresne incident. And he's had a quiet event too, which is, you could kind of see that as a negative, but it's not. He's going about his business, he's scoring good points, and that in this unpredictable championship may well get him the title at the end of the day. Nobody's dominating. Barry Burman, of course, has won a race, but he's not towards the front of the championship standings. He might well be if he wins this one, but Fassi as well. We've not seen anybody take a stranglehold of this championship, so Ronhaar being very cautious about it. 4 seconds back, easing his way to a podium.
As it stands, important to take your tyres all the way to the end. The driver's standings. Fascinating going into this one. Jarno Opmeer had taken the championship lead, currently running outside of the points.
And that's for the first time, as we have some more action out on track. The Mercedes there of Benham getting through on Clay.
Yeah.
I saw Jarno Opmeer actually posted this on social media, saying that it was the first time he's led the championship since December 2021.
Wow. Long time between drinks for Jarno Opmeer. The disappointing thing for him is it's going to be for one race as it stands, because Ismail Fassi is about to retake the championship lead with the second place that he's about to score. Barry Burman's about to launch himself into championship contention as well by adding 25 points to his tally. If he can stay there,
I think Fassi's got something to say about that.
I think he will have something to say about that, but you've got to weigh it up here. Championship lead, good return to form. I know we're asking a driver to ignore their racing instincts. Get it wrong in the rain and let Opmeer off the hook. Teams are going to be finding things in between events. Fassi just wants to return to the top step, doesn't he?
He certainly does, and it's interesting.
He's going around the outside. Here's the moment that we were waiting for. Trying to turn the outside line. Oh, he's shuffled onto the curb.
I don't think he'll be too happy about that one. We'll have to look at the margins for that, but Fassi pushed to the exit curb. No grip out there, especially in these conditions. We now have a battle with the McLaren there as well. Lucas Blakely and Jake Benham fighting for 4th position.
Can Benham get ahead? You'd expect him to. Blakely turns in. Brave move to do so. Shanaka Clay fighting his way to 6th position. Alfie Butcher trying to come back. It's an angry set of drivers behind us right now in the studio. There's so many moves of brinkmanship happening around this Zandvoort circuit. One corner where you can overtake cleanly. Everything else is a risk.
Look at this, it's all unfolding. Longuet now on the inside with such fresher intermediate tyres. Great opportunity for him. Lucas Blakely's in 4th at the moment, and he pitted about 15 laps ago, did Lucas Blakely. He's trying to hold on like Alfie Butcher was earlier, and this is playing into the hands of Longuet. Well, they're just lining up for him.
Blakely is surely trying to help his teammate back into contention here. Butcher, who changed his nose, by the way.
Yeah.
Whilst this is
Where's
all gone
he come
on.
from?
But this is massive for Longuet, who's got that tyre advantage. And if he just turns all the moves into a traction race, he's got the better tyres. So get the driver off the racing line, put your foot down, try an up and under, and there are real opportunities for the Ferrari man the longer this goes on with Lucas Blakely. Earlier on it was one McLaren defending, now it's another one. Lucas Blakely hanging on to P4. There remain 0.4 of a second between Ismail Fassi and Barry Burman out front. They are an exclusive elite group out front, away from everyone else. Our top two putting on a show for the win. Behind, it's anyone's.
It is heated in here, Alex. I keep hearing expletives, all things being flown around by these drivers.
That's just Tom Deacon. He's having the time of his life watching this one right now.
But some drivers are so frustrated because these conditions make it so difficult to overtake. Blakely can hardly keep the car on the road, but he's still managing to hold on to P4.
Oh, late send time. Here we go. There's the traction race. That's exactly what I'm talking about. If Longuet can get the car off the racing line, Longuet's going through. It's as simple as that. With the tyre advantage that he's got, he's come up against Alfie Butcher. Tyres are a massive, massive issue here. If you've got fresh ones, you're going to be able to fire your way by. We still need to resolve who's going to win the race, but until we get to the final laps, we want to show you the melee of action. The drivers, so many behind us, are frustrated, they're angry, they're striking their steering wheels. This is going to be a proper debrief afterwards. But who's going to be our winner? Who is going to win this private battle? All aboard the Lucas Blakely Express.
It's been an express of one McLaren the entire race. Firstly, with Alfie Butcher with that damaged front wing, but he is very much in the fight again. It is an unbelievable recovery from Alfie Butcher in the McLaren. That change of front wing clearly worked him onto a very nice strategy indeed. Of course, lost some time there, but with Lucas Blakely holding the pack up so aggressively, it's brought him right back into play. And Jake Benham, he can't find a move.
Incredible. He's had corner after corner to try and shuffle Blakely away from the ideal line. Blakely's getting it judged to perfection at the moment. Does Benham have the patience to execute the move? There you go, off the racing line. Can you place it to perfection? Can you make the corners? The next question. That was a little deep. Gives an opportunity.
The Ferrari in the back. background.
Here we go, making contact, not able to get through. It's a narrow racetrack. It's a precarious racetrack right now. Keep you updated for the battle out front. Inch perfect stuff from Barry Burman. As it stands, Fassi not letting him get away, not letting him breathe, making him sweat every single corner right now. We're on board with Nicolas Longuet looking for the move. Out front, finally, it looks like Benham is going to inch clear of Lucas Blakely, and his defense will now come to an end because Benham has got up to 4th, and Blakely, I imagine, will make way for Alfie Butcher because Nicolas Longuet will be trying to get by. There's the feather of the throttle. Oh my word, he tried to cut off the path of Longuet, who would have been deploying the energy to try and get by, and Blakely slips down to 7th.
Yeah, it didn't work out as well as McLaren would have hoped, and Lucas especially. He wanted to let his teammate through as soon as possible to give him a chance, and that's an Alpine in the background of Tourmaler. Tourmaler moving, but then the Red Bull of Freddie as well.
For Freddie, goes around the outside of Blakely, down to 9th position. And up to 8th goes Tourmaler, still 0.3 of a second for the battle for the lead. That's 31 of 36. Started in the dry, will finish in the wet. Oh my goodness me, that is so close to contact. Jarno Opmeer, every point counts in this extraordinary Sim Racing World Championship, and he's got past Blakely now, as Opmeer tries to limit the damage currently being done. 2 points for Opmeer as it stands. That penalty will be appealed by Red Bull, could still stand, might be removed. So ignore the black and white flag for driving standards for a penalty symbol in this game for the moment. Fassi is so confident in the first sector. Problem is, there's nowhere to use that momentum for a heavy braking zone.
It feels as though Fassi is just trying to find the moment to send it on Burman and perhaps make the Ferrari just waste a little bit of energy on some laps to almost shape a defensive move when Barry doesn't need to. Fassi looks like the faster driver and has done this entire race. And he's pushing him along, 0.3 behind. Is he waiting for the moment, or is he stuck? We've seen this with the drivers behind. The McLaren has been so wide. Can Fassi make the move? He'll want to. Yeah, forget the championship at the moment. Fassi, his natural instincts will be kicking in. He's been following this Ferrari for most of the race, and he wants the victory.
Just darting into the braking zone of turn 1. Just trying to get Burman to move away from the racing line. Just trying to create something in the mind of his rival. This has been a relentless test for Barry Burman. If you thought he was excited with his pole position, he might be so exhausted at the end of this one. It's honestly going to be some celebration, though, if he hangs on. Ferrari's going to get past the McLaren. That's further back in the field, 5th place for Nicolas Longuet, who was told on the radio earlier on, hey, you could still be in for a P6. He's done brilliantly there. He's managed to move ahead, and it's not going to be the podium that he wanted, but that could have been. Shoulders could have gone down. Pace might not have been there. That's a fine recovery drive.
Oh, it's phenomenal. He was right at the back of the field. It completely went the wrong way for him at the start of the race. He's up to P5, and I'd say he's probably not done there either. He has fresher tyres than Jake Benham ahead. Benham's managed to clear away slightly, 1.6 seconds the gap. It's 0.2 out in front, make that 3, which is a massive margin in these days. But once again, Fassi looking to potentially shape a move. But Longuet, yeah, fantastic, brilliant stuff. Can he catch Benham for P4?
I'm intrigued to see how Fassi plays these final laps. Is he prepared to let it go to lap 36?
Oh, it's going to be close this time, I think.
Real defensive move. He'll want the outside line. Can you try and find the grip? He's had one run all race to try and get the lead. He went around the outside and was shuffled onto the curb. Exactly the right defensive move for Barry Burman of Ferrari to make. But Fassi will bank that knowledge. He's had one dress rehearsal. He's running out of laps. He has to weigh up, retaking the championship lead with every driver's desire for victory, because you want to avoid what just happened between Joni Tourmaler and Alfie Butcher.
Oh, Tourmaler's having such a good race. He's in 6th place now after that contact with Butcher. We kind of caught that at the end, so we can't really judge what happened, and I'm sure Marcel Kiefer will be adding that to his touchscreen analysis. But Tourmaler up to 6th for now, but contact will mean usually some stewards' decisions.
It's going to be a long analysis, be as long as the race. He's got so much to pick through. They all started on lap number 1, second half of the field. got together, on board, about to go on to the penultimate lap. Surely he will be very, very punchy on the 35th lap because he'll get one opportunity after this. There is one clear overtaking chance around this racetrack, and we're heading to it right now.
Deployment is being used. You can see the battery draining for Fassi. Does he shape for the move into turn one? He's not close enough.
For the win! A late lunge! Oh, it's not enough! But he came from miles back. He came from Amsterdam, and I thought he was going to pull it off. But that was well done. That was so well judged from Barry Borrament. And now, is there enough time for Fassi to catch back up, or is that the moment that decides the race?
I think Barry's been recharging his batteries. We get more action into turn one. The two Red Bulls.
Freddie Rasmussen in 7th place, then it's Alfie Butcher, then it's Jarno Opmeer trying to minimise the damage. Currently 18 points for Fassi, currently 2 points for Opmeer with the possibility of a penalty hanging over him. Can he get by, minimise the damage? It's been a topsy-turvy season. Final lap of the race is a few corners away.
I was trying to say, before we had more action, was that Barry Burremand, I think he's been saving some battery over these last few laps because Thomas Ronhaar has entered himself into the equation 1.4 seconds back. He was 4 or 5 seconds away, maybe 5-6 laps ago. So Barry Burremand, I can only imagine, is trying to just save up that energy for the final couple of laps. Fassi knows this and just went for a dive bomb move into turn one, but he's close enough as we enter the final lap.
We're on to the final lap of the race. Is that the moment? Was the penultimate lap the move that decided things? Barry Burremand running his own race to his own pace, and now it's going to have to be something inventive. It's going to have to be something extraordinary if Fassi's going to deny Burremand the honour of becoming the first repeat winner of the year.
He's close as Fassi. He's shown he's had a little bit more pace than Barry Burremand, as Opmeer now clears Butcher for P8 as we see the final part of that into turn number one. Fassi's 1/10 behind, make that 2. He's pushing him around this part of the track, but he can't find a way.
He's been so good all the way through that first sector, but as you say, Matt, there's no way by. There's no clear heavy braking zone until you get to this section. Can he fire up the car to have a chance to have the momentum? Ron Haas caught the pair of them, but Barry Burrament has judged this one perfectly, and only an error into turn 13 can deny him now. Fassi has sat there, lap after lap, patiently waiting for the opportunity that we thought came at the start of the 35th lap, but Barry Burrament will hang on. He will come out of the back curve, and he will celebrate a pressurized victory. Superb stuff from Ferrari and Barry Burrament, who converts a strong drive to the win after surviving the pressure lap after lap from Ismail Fassi, who retakes the championship lead with second place. Thomas Ronhaar completes the podium for a 5:15 points. We're racing all the way to the end. Looks like it's going to be side by side. Who's going to get there? Tom Manley got Alfie Butcher on the line. He beat him by 0.02 of a second. And still exclaiming in the background is our winner, Barry Burrament, back on top. He's our first repeat winner of the year. Outside of the podium, Jake Benham was 4th, Nicholas Longay fighting 5th. Look, he's only 7/10 of a second away. Then it was Joni Tormula for his best result of 2025. Freddie Rasmussen was in 7th. Tom Manley won a drag race because the race hadn't had enough drag. And then Alfie Butcher completed
and Thomas Gal, don't forget him.
And Thomas Gal, come on down and take 10th place. More action. It's 2025 sim racing. Did you expect anything else? Great instincts from the Ferrari man to survive the pressure.
What a drive. The mental strength from Barry Burremand was unbelievable. He had pressure throughout the entire Grand Prix from Ismail Fassi. He has the weight of Ferrari on his shoulders. He knows that he hasn't had the championship so far that he would have wanted, bar the victory in Bahrain. And this brings Barry and Ferrari back into contention, Tom Deacon.
Take a breath. Matt Gallagher, Alex Jakes, fantastic from you. Thoroughly entertaining. When I got a name check at one point saying, I do apologise for Tom Deacon, there's probably the expletives. I absolutely loved that race as we watched Shanaka Clay and Istvan Pugic, 2 drivers not enjoying that race. It had so much going on. Just here in the studio, just hearing the the anguish.
The swearing.
The swearing.
Yeah,
Press it,
straight
don't
up
press
swearing.
it up. Honestly.
A lot of
we're going
fines
to
being
hear
handed
a
out.
bell in a minute for closing time.
There
It's
was
like
a
pub in
couple
here.
of whoopsies here and there, and as you can see, the emotions there for Nicolas Longe. Frustrating because I'm probably thinking of Nicolas Longe being frustrated because at the beginning, the immediate we need to get on the inters changed the whole complexion of the race, and that's what it means to this team. And we highlighted Ferrari, what it's going to take for them, how they're able to lift one another. That's a race winner there, a two-time winner in 2025, consoling his teammate. That's what it means to them. But what a race. What an absolute race.
They're an incredibly close unit at Ferrari. It's wonderful to see our race winner. He'll celebrate on his own time. He's comforting a driver who he wanted to bring with him to the podium.
Yeah.
The only way that that's happened is the timing of the weather. Remember, the unselfishness of Longe enabled Barry Bowman to be on the right tyres at the right time, and he's played his part in Ferrari's win today.
And what he needs to be reminded as well, Nicolas Longe, that was a fantastic ride.
Superb.
He finished 5th,
Yeah.
and he was pretty much plumb last at the beginning of that race.
He said it, GG's, good race, I'm out.
Exactly. So to bring it back to 5th, I know it doesn't feel like it's not a victory, it's not a podium.
But he's done everything he could today.
Yeah, he's maximised the unluckiness from the start. Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. I'm so surprised. A third race with rain. In some way, the
Get
rain
sick of
is
it now, to be honest.
Can we just have, please, just a hot day on the track? Shout out to Ismail Fassi as well. Right towards the end, lap 35. He came from Amsterdam, apparently, for the late lunge. Beautiful line.
If you've never been to Zandvoort, it's basically the seaside resort of Amsterdam. It's a few miles away. It's about 20 minutes on the train, and that is how far he came back. Because he pulled out. It was like, oh, he's not close enough, and then he let the brake off, very Max Verstappen style, at the Dutch rounds.
It was just extraordinary. You think, has he got enough grip? Not enough grip. And as you mentioned, Matt, Barry having enough battery there just to take him home. Ronha back in the mix as well. Could have gone any way. And I kept looking at the other drivers thinking, who could possibly come in here and make it 7 different winners in a row? But that trend is ended now. And shout out to Thomas Gow as well, picking up a point for Haas. We heard from him in quali, and that makes it 2 for the team now. Yeah. We are going to have a chat with Claire Cottingham and your third place driver, Mr. Thomas Ronha.
We blinded Thomas Ronha. It's very dark in here when the racing is actually happening, and that light, you were quite shocked by it. Congratulations, another podium. How are you feeling? You said to me just a moment ago you maximised that race. Just talk me through what you mean.
Yeah, no, first of all, the start, of course, when it was raining after lap 1, well, at the start, basically, we knew we had to pit very early. I knew the only way I can make, position up front was to take a little risk by pitting a bit earlier. Out of the final corner on lap 2, it was already getting very, very slippery. Then I started to box, which was the right call in the end. I had a lot of tyre on the first lap because it was nearly dry still. So that way, Ismail was able to overtake me and eventually pull away to Barry. I found out throughout the race when the tyres really started to kick in for me at the end, I started gaining, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. But I think we fully maximised what we could do today, so I'm happy.
Another race that we're talking about rain and tyre strategy. It's quite surprising, actually.
I mean, it happened 3 times in a row now, so can't wait for next one tomorrow. But like I said, anything can happen in these races. Like you saw with Alfie, unfortunately getting damaged in the pit lane. It is very slippery on those slick tyres, so I took it very carefully. Nearly sped myself, but then even getting hit by 2 cars behind was like, oh, didn't expect it. But turned out to be fine and made the right call and got P3.
I was going to say another amazing call from the team. You mentioned the great call last time. Brendan, I think your teammate got caught up in something and unfortunately fell to the air. Do you know what quite happened with Brendan? Or we only heard a noise.
I heard the noise as well, but I don't know what happened.
We'll ask Brendan. Don't worry. For you though, does this feel like a bit of a turnaround in your championship?
Absolutely. Now today I got a P3 twice, so that obviously shows the consistency is there, the pace is there, and. Looking forward to what the race tomorrow obviously brings for me. But I think I'm quite confident for that track. I felt like this track was actually my weakest track, unfortunately, even though it's my hometown. I wish to be quick, but yeah, like I said, I maximized today, and I think if I can keep this head tomorrow, then we're looking good.
Well, it's still a podium position at your home race. So we will say congratulations. We'll let you run off. We'll do more racing tomorrow, of course. And I'm going to bring in second place, Ismail Fassi. Thank you, Thomas. Ismail, come on in, Mr. Late Lunge. It was a good one. It just wasn't quite enough to get around Barry, was it?
No, definitely not. GG's to him. He did a fantastic race. 0 mistakes. Like I said to you before, my eyes are hurting a lot of being staring to the screen so many laps. I tried my best. I tried to do the same as I did with Thomas, but it was raining a lot. So once you get out of the dry line, you basically can't stop the car. I nearly went off the track, but yeah, I tried my best, and I'm happy. Even though I didn't win, I'm happy with my performance. We faced 2 difficult races, scoring 0 points, so I'm happy with P2.
I was going to say, obviously, we keep mentioning it, and I know we do, that you were the championship leader coming into this. It was 2 really difficult races for you. Qualifying first, it was quite difficult, and then turned into the race, it was quite difficult. This does feel like a real positive step forward, though, does it? Do you feel like this could be the confidence you need for tomorrow's race?
I hope so. Obviously, you don't know it. This grid is very competitive, so you cannot expect anything. But yeah, I'm just going to take this P2 and take the championship lead again.
Well, exactly. You've done the maths quicker than I have. Defending as well as fighting. I think I've never seen someone be so determined to get round a car. And you said your eyes are actually physically hurting. You just never gave up, and I don't know how to put that into words, how excited we were to watch it and how it was just so exciting.
Yeah, like I said, I just did my best. Couldn't get it. He defended really well. So, yeah.
But you're pleased with what you did?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we go again tomorrow. How are you feeling about tomorrow?
Like I told you 2 minutes ago, we cannot expect anything, so...
You're so sassy, aren't you, sometimes?
I cannot say anything. This is F1 Sim Racing, so...
That's fair enough. Look, well done. It is a second place. We are back in the championship fight. Do you feel like you're back in it?
Absolutely.
You never left it, did you? Well done, Ismail. It's second place for you. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Great to hear from Ismail Fassi and Thomas Ronha. Mr. Cautious getting another podium for him. He had 5 career wins, make that 6 career wins now. Barry Broman, congratulations. Tell me, how does it feel to get that car across the line? 2 wins this season.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I got 2 wins, but it's still not huge amount of points regarding. We had a really tough season yet, like till now, and then we got so many 0 points, so many unluckies. Like, you know, when in that weird sessions when luck is not on your side, it's always going on a bad side. It was quite tricky this season in general. It still was quite tricky. I'm super happy I got this win, but we need to, I think, work on a race setup in the wet in the race, because I can confidently say that Isma was faster than me, but luckily I could stay P1 and bring it home, and really good point for team, and also unlucky for my teammate once again in Zandvoort. He was just unlucky again, but luckily he had a crazy drive, finished P5 with fastest lap. So yeah, still a good point for the team.
Now, something that we spoke about just before we came here, you just saw the clip of Fassi going for the move from Amsterdam, as Alex Jakes called it. And your reaction after you seeing just how close that was?
That was actually super close. When I saw it, I was like, what? I didn't see it from my POV, but it was actually crazy close. And luckily we didn't have contact and we both could finish the race.
So did you know that it was pretty much in your hands? A trend that we saw throughout the race was it's pretty difficult to overtake in these conditions. We had Alfie Butcher with a broken front wing leading a massive train of cars. When you were leading, despite knowing that Fassi was slightly quicker, did you have the confidence that he'd have to do something pretty crazy to get through?
Well, I knew in Zandvoort in general, even if it's dry, it's quite tricky to overtake. It's just the nature of the track. And obviously when it is rainy, it's even worse. But to be honest, when I saw Isma is like so much faster than me, maybe like 3 tenths per lap or something, I was like, I have to do something. I was just recharging my battery and using the whole straight till turn 1 and then again back to recharging. Maybe that a little bit compromised my pace as well, because from the second stint I went fully defensive.
Yeah, because that's what I was wondering, because Ronha was 4 or 5 seconds back, but then by the end of the race he was right there, and I think, was that due to your recharging?
Yeah, I think so as well. And obviously I think me and Ismo had a crazy fight, and obviously you always want to have 60-70% going to the main straight, so you can literally use your gears till turn 1. So unluckily I could manage to do that and bring another P1 for the team.
Where does that rank? That's win number 6. Where does that rank? Because I looked over at one point expecting to see a very intense expression on your face, and you're just picking every single breaking point. Where does that rank in career wins for you?
I think this one, I think the Bahrain one I will put it on P1 because it was quite tricky. I was on worse tires, and I think I managed it quite perfectly. At this one, I don't know, but it's surely in top 3 because... it was quite tricky, and it was on the defensive side of the race, winning races. Had to defend probably, 25 lap, 24 lap. It was quite tricky.
Yeah, and in previous years we saw, before we go into the race today, finished second twice before, once in the McLaren colours, also in the Ferrari colours. Did it make it that extra sweeter for you today, Barry?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about exactly the same thing when I came here. I was like, I finished P2 2 times in a row. I finally got it. Finally got the win. Obviously, Zandvoort has always been one of my good tracks, I guess, statistic. Always got good qualies here, and obviously quali is the king here. The moment you got a good quali, you can just manage the race quite well, because the overtaking is quite tricky.
Yeah, people, and we've been saying, you've had that time away from event 1 to work on things. Did you work on this much rain happening?
we actually did. We actually did a lot, but for some reason it doesn't look that good. I can confidently say that. I think it's quite average, which is something that obviously we need to work on. And which is even if you look at the qualies, Silverstone rainy, Spa rainy was quite on a bad side of my quali performance, because in Spa I believe we were quite fast, confidently. We just completely nailed the setup, ERS, everything. We were quite fast compared to everyone, and then just the rain session and completely screwed you over. But I think something that we need to work on is probably on the rain side. But then luckily the pace on event 1 wasn't the best, but on dry pace we can see we are quite confident it's fully back where we like to be.
And what I'd love to know quickly, sorry Tom, obviously we saw you consoling Nicholas. We said the same thing, by the way, of what a monster drive to get back to P5 after what happened. What did you say to him after that, and when you were consoling him?
Basically, me and Nick are super close to each other in general. We were really good friends, and now we are teammates. And I just told him, look, you did a monster drive. You drive like a champion, as he is, and you should be proud of. I know it sucks, obviously, for me, for everyone. When the thing's not going your way, you don't enjoy it. That's just. It is what it is. But I said to him, come on, man, you did amazing drive. Finished P5 with fastest lap after being P19.
Yeah.
It's just something that, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I'm sure he's very grateful to have a teammate like you, Barry. Congratulations again on the win. We go racing again tomorrow, so you can't even have a party. Even if you wanted to, there's no party.
No party.
William said no party until after Kota, when we'll see you tomorrow. Barry Boromande, your victor around Zandvoort. Let's have a look at the standings then. This is where we leave today. 3 days in event 2, and we've come to the end of it for event 2. Here is Thomas Ronha into P2, but Ismail Fassi, you're still your driver standings leader for the championship right now. Jarno Opmeer down into 3rd, and again Matt Gallagher. I could see on your face how close you're number crunching.
Just absorbing.
No, but you're number crunching like we all are. Looking at this, going, this could be anyone still.
But what I'm seeing here is the Ronha narrative that we've been pushing coming to fruition here. He's 10 points off the top of the driver's standings. He's not won a race yet. And it just takes a couple of great performances, which we absolutely know Ron Haar can do, and he'll be leading this Drivers' Championship. It's a different approach to what we've seen previously with Ron Haar.
Back-to-back podiums. Interesting enough, Freddie Rasmussen has to be more aggressive, and Thomas Ron Haar needs to be more cautious and think about that result and the bigger picture sometimes if you want to win a championship, right, Alex?
Yeah, key day across the board for Fassi to bounce back after the disappointment of what he saw in the first rain-affected races. Brilliant drive in the rain. So rain qualifying at Silverstone, rain qualifying at Belgium, and he bounced back brilliantly. And Ron Haar took it back a tad and has got back-to-back podiums to fling himself into the championship picture. Mercedes didn't have the easiest day when it came to the Zandvoort race, but they continue to run with a great margin, you have to say, at this stage of the season.
So good, and Ferrari with that win, moving up into third. Williams dropped down a bit after a personal best from Pedreno to qualify in P4. Wasn't the race for him. Look at there, the tyres. It's all the softs, and then quickly change. I'm curious to know, Matt, and please, if I seem a bit silly from this, there was more intermediate tyres changed.
There was more intermediate than that.
There was another stop in
there.
But why couldn't they double stack? That's just a curious question. Is it something in the game? Is it that they lost too much time?
It's just time loss, right? So they'll know that they'll lose a certain amount of time by queuing, but it's going to be a handful of seconds. With the conditions, they don't know exactly how much time they're going to lose. So a driver's instinct is not, I'll come in with my teammate and definitely lose this amount of time.
Yeah.
Let me put my skill to the track and try and lose less time than I would in the pits.
Yeah. That was the long gate coming. He had to stay out because Barry obviously
because they qualified so close. Yeah.
If you double stack, you're definitely going to fall to last. If you don't double stack, the rain might not have been as heavy, might have had an opportunity to only lose 2 seconds rather than 7.
Okay, I'm glad that's cleared up. Right, Marcel Kiefer in the VIP area. I can't believe this. How is he allowed Danny Berezny in? This is unbelievable.
Oh my word, there's a guest list.
Marcel, over to you, buddy.
Well, the reason why Danny is here because he is a VIP, Tom. And welcome, Danny, to the first guest of this amazing panel that we have here. How are you feeling after not racing?
I feel privileged. If there is a race to sit out and watch, then probably this was the most enjoyable one. I don't remember in esports a variety of strategies like this. I think the pit windows for people on the 2-stop inter strategy after the race went from dry tires to the wet track, it's something that is very rare in esports. So Codemasters delivered with a truly dynamic weather this time, and it was really good. Obviously a little sad at the same time because as a driver you always want to take part in the chaos.
Well, so here, shout out to Codemasters for doing a great job here. And I would also say this was probably the best race of the season so far. So, yeah, I think also our short highlight reel is not so short today. We have a lot to talk about. And if you're ready for it, then Danny and I will talk you through what was actually going on throughout the race.
There are incidents. There are.
That's a very, very... downplaying it. So first of all, we had the race start where 3 drivers from 3 different teams, Otis Lawrence, Frederick Rasmussen and Josh Ido, they all lost 7 places in turn 1. So here we go, looking at this. It starts with a very ambitious move from Otis Lawrence, and I honestly, I like Otis a lot, but this move is not on. It's getting way too deep. Then you can also see he's running out of... I think there was every right for the McLaren to close the gap. Obviously, he could also spin out himself. But with that, Otis is going fully off the track with all wheels. And with that, he's technically unsafely rejoining onto the racetrack. And there is the contact between Frederick and Josh, and it just ends in tears. I don't know if Freddy actually lost the swing. I don't think so. But Otis and Josh and all of them lost 7 places in total. What do you think? What is your input on this little bit of racing here? Without blaming any competitors. I don't want any hate.
Yeah. So I'm not the most subjective steward here, I guess, because I'm driving for a competitor team. But by the rules, you should be majorly alongside the car to deserve space on the inside during the majority of the corner entry phase, and that did not happen. And the contact was caused with Otis' front wing to the rear tires of I think, Lucas.
Wow.
There, Marcel highlighted it. So that's definitely not a position to deserve space. However, we never know if it was an intentional move for Otis, or maybe he misjudged his braking point and then he just tried to avoid something. And then, because the centrifugal forces try to obviously take the car to the outside line, he was a passenger from this moment. The contact model with the spinning wheels and the barge boards, they kind of stick together. I'm pretty sure Otis could have done maybe more to go more to the right. I don't think he realized there is 2 cars on his outside, because his steering wheel is way too straight for this kind of position. I think he did not calculate with Josh Idovu or Idovu being there, or Idu. So many ways to pronounce his name. I'm really sorry, Josh. And this is how this situation occurred.
So we also have the onboard from Otis in this particular incident. So this is in full speed. I mean, technically, from his onboard, it didn't even look too rough, but he still can't slow down the car enough without, like, if he would brake even later, he would use another car to slow down. So yeah, I don't think there's much Alfie could do. And with that, it just ends up in what we already saw. And for Josh, it was the same scenario, but I think actually the only one here to blame is probably Otis this time, unfortunately. Even though 3 cars were involved, 3 actually suffered, and Josh had a major front wing loss. And he can be happy that he didn't lose his front axle.
Yeah, it was a nice idea by him to try the opening up outside line. It works a lot of times, but not this time, because there is some unexpected things happened on the inside. Freddie also, maybe he could have backed out a little bit earlier, but that's really just blaming the victim, because obviously he had every right to be there on the track and cannot just disappear. It's just at these starts, if you take risks, sometimes these things happen.
All right. I mean, great input from you, Dani. And now we have another, without an incident, actually a great start by Nicolas Longue, where he sent it around the outside and made it a Ferrari 1-2 into the first couple of corners. So let's jump on board with the Frenchman.
This is team play at its finest. Barry blocks the inside line, obviously not too scared about Ismail, but rather trying to help his teammate. And Nico has the left side of the track, which turns into the inside line at this banked corner. Barry even leaves him space here to be absolutely sure that they secure the 2 best spots right after the race start. It's been definitely a dream for Ferrari.
Beautiful. And then we have another overtake here from Nicolas Longue in lap 8 on Thomas Gall after he was feeling like the race was already over, but he still managed to actually fight back through the field and finish in a, I think, P5 position.
I think this overtake really shows how much less grip you have off the drying line in wet, even if you don't always visually see it. As soon as Tamás lost the inside line, he just lost so much grip that Nico got basically ahead of him by the exit of the corner. And I think this is the first game that has these truly differences in grip across the surface of the track, and it makes wet driving pretty fun, but pretty strategical at the same time as well.
Amazing stuff from both drivers here, especially from Nico. And here we go for one of the... Honestly, these 2 drivers, I think they can break the latest. They both nailed, Ronha and Fassi, they nailed this like super late, locking the steering wheel, and he actually somehow slows it down. It looks like he would completely overshoot it, but great move by Ismar. Then we are also jumping to a fight on board with Otis Lawrence from Joni Tormola and Lucas Blakely. Very, very hard racing here. And actually, it's kind of like Lucas suffered quite a lot throughout this race, multiple times, especially at the later stage. And we also see a pass by Otis. So he lost 2 positions in just 1 sector, basically, which was super, super quick. And now let's talk about your teammate. Istvan Puki here fighting with Jano. Jano is trying to get around the outside. Puki is holding on well to the inside, but this is not over yet. And actually, the person that is benefiting from it is Joni Tormola, but I don't think we have this one ready right now. Okay, let me have a look. So we have Lucas Blakely making contact here as well with, I think, who is this? Is it Otis? Yeah, it's Otis. What do you think?
Well, that's the same kind of move that Otis did at the start. It was just never really on, never got alongside enough. It's just not a big braking zone enough to do that. So I would say the same what we said at the start.
All right, thank you very much. Let's have a look at Benham. actually one of your teammates making a move on Lucas Blakely in lap 29.
Well, it was not easy for him, and we didn't feel like he got always the exactly one car width of space when he was definitely in a position to at least deserve something. Lucas tried to obviously come back to the ideal racing line as much as he could. It's what happened between Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton in Monza in 2019. I think many people remember that iconic race. And this is always a very grey area and very hard to decide for the stewards.
You know, for me at this point, it's just, I mean, Lucas is moving closer and closer towards the left. But especially when it gets to the braking, he makes another slight move to the left. I don't know, would you say this is, despite the fact that it's your teammate, that this would be moving under braking, or do you think it's still just right within the regulations?
It's okay to move this much at the braking, it's just not leaving adequate racing room, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. I love racing with the full trust that I will always have a car width of space, and you get into a really uncomfortable situation like Jake got to brake on the grass, and there are cars very close behind you. If you go off the dry line, you will lose even more grip. He is drifting the car. He is fantastically getting it back to a tight line. So Alfie, who is Lucas' teammate, probably Lucas did everything to help him a bit to get past Jake, try to instantly capitalize on it.
Amazing analysis from you, Donny. So we get back with the Ferrari driver who made this comeback, Nicolas Longuet, where he fought back through the field and with a late slam, but this is, I think, perfectly fine. No contact.
This is it, and it's so beautiful. Hard to nail a braking point in a close field like that. It's so easy to hit the car ahead of the car that you are trying to overtake, trying to brake as late as possible, and Nico just absolutely nailed it, and he didn't get distracted by the fact that Joni tried to defend the inside. He went even more inside.
But the next one, he might have overjudged it a little bit. I think here, no, is this? Ah, yeah, here. I think, is it maybe like a chain reaction that he hit Alfie, then Joni put him into the back of Alfie again? Like, he braked a little bit, maybe too late. Then they made contact from behind, and contact also with Alfie. Is it like just like game physics, or what can we put that down to?
He didn't gain a position from that, so it's again very hard to decide if the stewards want to penalize it, because unfortunate incident like this happen in racing. If he would have overtaken like that, that's definitely a penalty for me.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Like that, you need to probably see the grand scheme of things, or I don't know how to exactly say it. And obviously there is an amount of slowness that you just cannot expect, and you cannot judge, and Nico backed out of it eventually. A little bit Turing carry.
Let's have a look at one of the biggest losses in this race. So we are on board with Jan Ortmer. We can see Joni Tormola is fighting in lap 31 with Lucas Blakely, sending it down the right-hander. Fair and square, I think they might make a little bit of contact, but actually Freddy gets a great run and nearly also passes Joni Tormola, whilst Jarno is just sitting behind and waiting like a shark in the ocean.
Jarno is very patient, and when others run out of battery or they have a compromised exit, he is there, and this turns to the inside line, going off in the gravel, probably with these wet tires, a little bit better grip than what they would have on the slicks. Jarno definitely deserved some space, in my opinion. He had nowhere to go.
Can you explain us why, though? Like, would you say the car is, at what point is a car, according to the regulations within the championship, so the viewers understand what is actually within the rules?
They say the cockpit position, so you should be at least 50% alongside the opponent's car. So your car should be alongside at least the driver's head, which happened for some parts of the cornering situation, did not happen for another. But it's also very interesting because obviously you can force some slow motion images that don't look the reality just by braking later, so you are never prepared to leave space. And then obviously you can say that I was ahead, but if you approach the corner in a way where it's controlled, then you would not be ahead. So these are the hardest situations, and I'm just a racing driver, not a steward, to decide all these. But you most of the time need to be at least 50% alongside and really pay attention the car tires and the cockpit position.
All right, let's have a look at the final important moment of the race, and that is the fight for the lead. A big stand in lap 35 from Ismail Fassi. Super late, actually. I'm surprised he kept it out of the gravel. But that was... When is he braking? He's nearly braking at the dry spot now. I mean, look at his brake input. Where is it? It's right here. There we go. And, yeah, bit too late, but he didn't make it move. So, yeah, let's keep it short. This was a great race. I'm very grateful that you joined us, Donny. And
great move by Isma. You need to try to win. This is what I miss sometimes. Great move.
And I miss you. All right, guys, thank you very much.
We are so grateful for the analysis, Marcel Kiefer. But welcome back, day 4. We're about to go racing in Kota. I don't know if you know.
That was outstanding.
Yeah.
And thanks to Danny Perez there as well for talking us through. I mean, look,
I can't really comment too much about it because I am actually a current driver, and
but look, there was a fair bit to get through, and they got through a lot. What I love about that, they could have gone on longer.
Yeah. Definitely easy.
They were told to wrap.
So many incidents there to talk about. But that's a lovely feature. I'd love to see that on the socials.
We're done, aren't we, Tom?
We are. Do you want me to say we're going to chill out, relax, rest, recover, and reflect on all the action we have seen? Matt Gallagher, Alex Jakes, so good to have you as part of the team with Claire Cotting and Marcel Kiefer, and our new host as well, Danny Berezny. I'm Richard Deacon, your host. We'll be back tomorrow for Kota. We have the quality show starting at 1800 Central European time. Cannot wait for it. See you there. Take care. Good night.
Nailed it.